Welcome to the Remodeling with Chief Architect software. In today's presentation, we're going to take the before house, as you can see here on the left-hand side, and then we're going to remodel that, add a new room on the main floor, and then create a second story and add a deck on the back. Give you an idea of the sorts of things we're going to do in the presentation. I've already prepared the construction documents, so we kind of page through. We'll go through and update the main floor. Here's our as-built, what we call the as-built, which is the house design before any work begins on it. And then we'll add our pop-out room. This is a proposed living room down here. And then we'll go through and add the second story on the right-hand side of your screen there. Foundation and roof plan. And then we'll take a look at the different elevations. You'll notice when we go through, I've added a couple of options for consideration. This area that is on the main floor, we've created 3 different roof styles. So you'll see a barrel, a gable, and a hip option. And with the final project here, we've added a shed roof style. It's a great tool that you can use to show your clients or yourself how your design might look like with different options. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up Chief Architect. I'm using Chief Architect Premier. We also have a light version and an interiors version, depending on what sort of work you do. To create our as-built, which will eventually become the basis for the remodel, I'm going to use an exterior wall tool, and I'm just going to come in here and create the shape of the design. I'm not worried too much about the dimensions at this point. Line that up and snap it into place. With the automatic exterior dimension tool, you can quickly place your exterior dimensions. Once your dimensions are placed, you can click on the wall, move it, or you can come up, highlight the dimension, and enter it in precisely. Now, one of the things that some of you may have a laser measuring device. We have a nice article in our help system. If you have one of these, many of them have the Bluetooth capability. You can use that, shoot your dimensions, press the Bluetooth button, and then that dimension, when you highlight a wall, like I've done here, you can simply have the device input that directly in. So it's accurate the very first time that you do that. So I'm just going to work myself around here, enter in the dimensions since I've gone out and measured this already. We'll set that to be 20 feet. Zoom out here a little bit. And I think this, we'll set that to be 22 feet. Move this wall back here to be 3 feet. That's not quite what I wanted. Move this wall over here to be 3 feet. And then finally this dimension down here, we'll set that to be 29 foot and 6.5 inches. Once the dimensions are in place, I'm going to use my overhead camera tool, and you can see the footprint or shape of the house that we have. With the as-built house, remember this is the as-built that we're after, I'm going to go ahead and put the roof on here so that I can show the client their existing house. I can put it in my permits, show the neighborhood association, and then use it to sell the client on what their ultimate house is going to look like. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build that hip roof, open up our build roof dialog, and you'll find a variety of different roof styles that you can build. I'm just going to select this hip roof, and we'll leave it at 8 and 12 with 16-inch overhangs, and we'll talk more about the roof options when we do the remodeling. So we'll go ahead and build that roof style. You can see it here in plan view. And then when we take a 3D overview, we should have a hip roof that much resembles the house that we're looking at for the as-built. While you're in the 3D view, you can continue your design work. So if you want to place your doors and windows, you can simply place those. You can move them, you can resize them. It's pretty easy to do. So we'll place a couple of windows where the client has them. The door tool works exactly the same way. Place our entry door in here. place a garage door over here. And again, if you want to resize these, you can do that. You'll notice that I've got some siding showing through here. If I split my screen, and maybe we'll add a couple of interior walls in here, and then we'll name that a garage. If we come across here, one of the things that Chief Architect includes is the ability to have template files or specifics based on what room you have. So if I select garage out of here, what that's going to do is that's going to create the cutout for me, and then when I build the foundation, it will also do the cutout in the stem walls if I happen to be using a stem wall. I'm going to go ahead and add the interior walls and the remaining doors and windows, and then we'll skip ahead to the remodel. I've gone ahead with the as-built, added the interior walls, placed the remaining windows, fireplace, built the foundation. If you rotate around, you can kind of see the different aspects that we've placed in here. You'll also find different tools. I mentioned I built the foundation. You can see with the glass house view the garage slab foundation or smaller stem walls and what the design looks like. Now with the remodel project that we want to do, let me open the 3D overview back up. The client wants to take this design and they want to open up the room and expand a few things. One, they need more living space, so we're going to add a second story. And then we're going to go ahead and add a main floor living space that you can see down here off to the right side of the garage. Now to do these sorts of changes, let's go back in and look at our plan view. We're going to take this bedroom, we'll make that an office, so there's no real change there. In this closet area back here, I'm going to take and make that the landing so the stairs go up to the second story. And then out front, we're going to go ahead and use our wall tool, and we're going to create a room that would be somewhat symmetrical to the garage. So let's go ahead and get started. One of the things I like to do when I begin a remodeling project is to make my plan view and 3D view look a little bit differently. You'll notice my exterior walls on my as-built are blue. So for my remodel project, I'm going to select a different style of wall. You choose a number of walls in Chief Architect. You can select from a list. You can also build your own. In this case, I've just copied the exterior wall that was used on the as-built, and it's still a 2x6 wall, and I've changed the color to orange. And you'll notice that I actually have 5 different layers composed of the siding, the sheetrock, the sheathing. All of the elements that you put in here will actually calculate into the materials list when you run that at any point in the program. So I've created a new wall type. It's going to be orange so that it shows up differently on my plan as we begin to draw out the wall. So I'm going to drag out this wall, and you'll notice as I'm dragging out the wall I get a temporary dimension. Well, I can use that to size it. Also, as I'm dragging that out, if I press the tab key on the keyboard, you can enter in a precise dimension. So I'm going to go ahead and make that exactly 4 feet. And then we'll just come around here and create the shape of our house. We'll snap that into place here. And we'll come in here about where the sidewalk is. And then we'll pull that wall in. Now when I highlight the wall, you'll see the dimension. And again, you can precisely locate that. Let's go ahead and set that to approximately 7'8". Probably have to end up changing that sidewalk once we get that set up. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to pull this wall back, so we're going to do a little demo work. Snap that into place. And so now I've got this shape for the room. Take a 3D overview. Use our overview camera tool. And now you can see the house. And again, here's the different style of wall that I've got set up. So it's very clear which walls are the as-built and which walls are the remodel. The next thing is to build our foundation. If we bring up our tool for our foundation, I could have had my automatic rebuild foundation turned on, which I did not. I'll go ahead and turn that on here. And that will automatically update the foundation that we'd previously had there. So that fills that in. You can see that the foundation automatically came in, and that's a full basement. If I wanted to turn that off and just build it on a slab, I could easily do that as well. So our foundation is now updated, and the next step that we'll do is we'll build our second story. Let's close this 3D view. So to build our second story, let's go ahead and clean up some of our dimensions in here real quick. You'll notice if I zoom in here, you've got a diamond where that dimension goes to. You can snap that just by pulling that diamond to the wall, and you can get that to update. And if we want to add a dimension, we'll just grab that and pull that out there as well. So to build our second story, we'll come in, choose Build New Floor, and the program's going to ask us if we want to derive that from the main floor. Say OK. And when you build a floor, each floor is based on different platform thicknesses and wall height. You can see in the diagram here that you can see the stacking of the different floors and platforms. My relative height for the ceiling is 97 1/8. That's an 8-foot ceiling with the platform thicknesses. If you actually look at the platform thicknesses for the ceiling structure and ceiling finish and floor finish between the platforms, that's how we get 97 1/8. I'm going to go ahead and use that default and build a 8-foot ceiling. And as long as we're in here, let's just go ahead and highlight all of these walls. And I'm going to make those the remodeling wall, since I didn't change that before I did that. So we'll just open that up, change that to our remodeling wall style. That way it shows up differently. And I want to pull this wall over, and we'll snap that into place. And then this wall, I don't want it to match exactly below, so I'm going to set that wall to be 36 feet. And by the way, if you want to toggle on and see the floor below, this is called reference floors. It's kind of a nice tool to be able to see down below the design. And finally, let's take this bump out over here that we created that was new, and on the second story, we just basically want to get rid of that. So again, you can see the outline with the floor below in red, and then the current floor is in orange. And you can see, toggle that floor off, you can see the outline. And let's go ahead and take a full overview. So in the full overview, you can see that, of course, Chief Architect automatically builds a flat ceiling. You can see the structure with the new floor on the above with a different wall type. The next thing I want to do is, let's go ahead and build our roof. We'll open up our Build Roof dialog. And again, I'm just going to build a basic hip roof. Let's start with the basic hip roof. I'm going to change the pitch to be a lower pitch to begin with. And I'm also going to make that a 24-inch overhang. And perhaps I'll also remove gutters, edge flashing, so that all looks good. Click OK, and we'll build our roof. Now you can see the different roof styles that we have, and it's very easy to make changes in here. If we zoom in here just a little bit, I'm going to select this wall, and you'll notice down here in my menu, I have a change to gable wall. So I can click that and automatically update the roof. Let's actually turn automatic rebuild roofs on so that will update, so I don't have to do that every time. So you can come around and highlight the different roof areas and just simply toggle that on and make the changes. And if we toggle this roof, we'll get a gigantic gable. And we'll come back and fix that because I don't want that gable to go beyond the wall break over here. We'll rotate around. We'll set this wall over here to be a gable. And again, all I'm doing is clicking this change to gable wall. And so to make the change on this particular roof area over here, of course, every one of these roof planes you can modify manually and create the shape, and I could do that right here. But it's easier most of the time to let the program go ahead and do that. So I'm looking at the footprint here of our second floor. And what I want to do is I want to create a break because I want this, this gable to come off coplanar to our wall over here. So I'm going to create a break in that wall with our break tool. So I'm going to click break wall. I'm going to come over here and use that snap extension. I'm going to break that wall right there. And then I'm going to highlight this wall, click this hip roof and toggle that. And see if we can make the change that we're after. So I like the way that looks much better. Let's toggle on our vector view. We might be able to see that a little bit easier. Okay. Let's see, let's fix this roof plane back here, as long as I'm down in here. Toggle that so that roof comes in. So you can see how easy it is to modify your roof in different views. Now, if we take a look at this roof section here, we want to give our clients a few different options. And while you can come in here and toggle the roof to a gable roof, let's go down to our main floor on our floor plan on the right-hand side of your screen. And let's go ahead and select this back wall. We'll toggle that to a different style of roof. So you can see the simple gable roof. Now let's explore how to give our clients different options for this roof style here. If I bring up our plan set, one of the things that we've done, you saw how we toggled the roof to the basic hip and gable. But the clients may want to change the pitch of the roof, the shape of the roof, and in some cases they don't really understand how it's going to look. So you can use these tools. You can either create a 3D rendering of it, elevation of it, whatever you think works best for you. But the tools are very, very easy to use if you're giving a client a different option on kitchens. You can let them see and produce the renderings. I'll open up one of the kitchens here. But you can give them different options, and it's a great tool to help you sell the job. So in the case of the roof style here, let's go ahead and explore. We've already done the hip style. We've already done the gable style. Let's look at a barrel, and then eventually we'll move forward with the shed roof. So I'm going to create our barrel roof. Let's go ahead and maximize the 3D view for the time being. I'm just going to simply highlight the two roof planes and shift click. I've got both of them. If I open those roof planes by double clicking now, one of the options is curved roof. If I check this button for curved roof, of course you can set the radius information, eve ridge. I'm going to actually set the ridge radius so that it's exactly 0 degrees, so where that ridge comes in, I'll have a perfectly smooth pitch. If I make that update, you can see the effects of the curved roof. Pretty nice to be able to show your clients how that's going to look. Now, I'm going to undo that, Control Z, and we'll go back to our regular gable. And let's look at making a shed roof. So the first thing I'm going to do to make this a shed roof, let's go ahead and toggle this roof plane back to a hip. And then I'm going to select this far wall, and let's go ahead and set that to be on the roof tab. By the way, if you want to open up individual walls, you can have an upper pitch, two-pitch roof, and then you can also define what kind of wall you want. In this case, I want a high shed gable wall, and that's going to force the roof to be built up. And actually, I shouldn't have toggled that to a hip roof before I did that. So now we can see the shed roof. And you'll notice back here it built an appropriate cricket where the fireplace is. Obviously, we don't want that to create a water problem. So the program automatically will build those crickets where it touches a wall and needs to generate the correct sloping away. So now that we have the shed roof, we can go ahead and add and place our windows. Let me place the windows in the front of this new room. We'll use our window tool. And again, you can easily resize and stretch these, move them around. And if you double click on this, let's make some changes. You can use manufacturer catalogs if you have a particular manufacturer. You can find Pella windows, Eagle windows, Anderson windows available on the website. I'm just using a generic window for this particular design. So I'm going to change this to fixed glass, and I'm going to remove the sill off the bottom here. So I'm going to uncheck the Use Exterior Sill. And then in the Lights tab, we'll go ahead and set a few lights across, maybe a few in the bottom, and then I'm going to change that to a Craftsman style window. And finally, since I want to create a vaulted ceiling in that room, let's come back and we'll raise the floor to bottom. We'll use it something like 101 inches and set that window up. And of course, I'm going to probably want to make that a little bit longer. Perhaps we'll just stretch that down, make it something like 84 inches. It might be easier just to open that up and put it in there. Once I have the different window made, I'm going to use the copy tool, and I'm going to create a copy of that window, and we'll just create a mold window right like that. So it's pretty easy to add these objects. If we want to look at replacing the entry door, I'm going to click on the door here, press the delete key. I'm going to open up the library. I mentioned earlier that we have over 10,000 different items in the library. You can come down here, you can sort by manufacturer catalogs, scroll in and find your favorite manufacturer, or in this case, let's see if I can just do a search for entry door, see what I can find. And it looks like I have a Simpson door that I've molded together myself. Any of the objects that you have, you want to save into the library if you frequently use them. You can maybe make a few modifications, like in this case I placed a few side lights together, mold that unit, and now I can place that door and simply click there, highlight the door, use the center tool. I can come in here and exactly center that in that area. Let's zoom out and place a few windows off the side of the new room on the main floor. I'm going to place a few windows in here. We'll highlight it and we'll make very similar changes. I could have maybe copied the window that we used previously, and we'll go ahead and make that a 30 by 36 window. And again, let's remove the sill and make it a fixed window. You'll notice different window types you can choose. Again, I'm just using a generic catalog window here. Fixed glass, come over to the sill, we'll remove it, add our few lights in here, and we'll make it a Craftsman style light. Once I'm okay with that, we'll leave that. Now, that's a 30-inch window, and what I want to do now is let's go ahead and highlight the window, and I've got a multiple copy tool that we can highlight. And since that window is 30 inches, I'm going to set my copy to 32 inches. So every time I copy that, it's going to copy it at 32 inches. So we'll sit here and we'll make 4 or 5 of those windows out there. We'll delete that last window, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and leave it at 5. I'm going to highlight each one of these windows here, group select it, use my center tool, and I can center it on that room. And now it's precisely centered in the wall. We may also want to highlight the windows, and if I open it up, I could set the floor to bottom here at 1. That's a pretty high wall since it's a shed wall. We'll set it at 108. The other thing that we can do, if I block those windows when I do the framing, then we can see what that's going to look like. Let's take an elevation view With the wall elevation camera, or the elevation camera, if I take a look at these windows that we just placed, we'll zoom in. I'm going to highlight the windows and you can get a better idea what it looks like on the side. And with the wall elevation, you'll notice the first thing when we did our remodel was the fireplace was too small. So let's go ahead and pull that up. I've got two parts on that. I've got the top cap and I've got the actual fireplace. And I'm not going to worry too much about the exact extension of that. We'll just snap this back down on the top of the fireplace. So now we've fixed that and we can see the elevation camera in here. Close our elevation camera, and the next thing I want to do is let's go ahead and fix our sidewalk. I've got a slight radius on this. I'm going to use a brake tool. Find it down here in the menu. This is our sidewalk and driveway, which is a driveway tool in Chief Architect. So I'm just going to pull this back and snap that into place. So that formulates the new driveway. You can also create your own radius and information. We can just create that and make that a straight line in there. With our perspective camera overview, let's go ahead and clean up some of the exterior elements. Now the first thing we want to do is make some changes to the walls. So remember, our ultimate look is something like this. We're going to take the existing lap siding from the original. We'll convert that to, we call it a pony wall in Chief Architect, where there's a material, two different types of material. We'll separate that with a molding, and then we'll change the colors and textures in here. So let's take a look at how to do that. The first thing that we'll do, let me shrink my screen here a little bit. I'll just pull it over here to the side. I'm going to match the yellow off of this. Imagine this is a photograph. I'm just going to use my color chooser material here. It's called a rainbow tool. Click on the siding. We'll come in here and I can pull this off. I'm just going to pull this off the screen. You won't be able to see it for a second. I've got a dual monitor. We'll grab that yellow off the photograph and you can change the saturation level of it. So I'm going to set that to a yellow and create our custom color for the siding. You'll find manufacturer siding companies in there. You'll find paint companies, Benjamin Moore, Sherwin-Williams, Behr. So you can go in and open up the library and set a very specific color. Or if your client brings you a photograph, it's a great tool to just use that color blending that I just showed you. So that's going to make the changes to the siding here. Now that that updates, you can see the effect. And again, if we bring in our picture, we're going to go down and change our lower walls to be this stone and board and batten style of siding. So I'm going to close the 3D view here and let's take a look at how to do that. So I'm going to select all of my exterior walls to begin with. So I'm going to just work my way around and we'll just group select these. So once I've selected all the walls, I'll double click on them to open them up. And in the Wall Types tab, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make this setting Pony Wall, which allows for two combination of wall types. The first wall type is I'm going to call that a board and battened remodeled wall. We'll select that. And then on the lower type, I'm going to check a stone style wall. And actually it's a stone veneer. So you can see that I've got that set. And we'll make that change. And I'll just go ahead and use the orange wall type for all of these at this point. If I wanted to make that so it just showed the new addition, I could easily do that. And I may change that back here before the end of the video. The other thing that I probably ought to do for the garage, since that's built on a slab, let's highlight those few walls. And I want to set the elevation of the pony wall to be 48 inches, so that should match the other walls. So let's take a look. Use my overhead camera. So now you can see the effects of the board and batten and then the stone siding. I have automatic corner boards. Probably want to go around and clean those up. Probably should have turned those off before we made the changes. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead, and I'm going to place the rest of the doors and windows in the design, and then we'll come in and show you how to create that molding. Now I have all the windows added in the design. If I rotate around, you can see the way that the windows look. So I've updated them to all have the Craftsman style look. Now the next step that we want to do is to add our molding that will separate the board and batten and stone, and then also probably put a belly band between the shake siding and the board and batten. I'm going to split my screen here so we can see exactly what we've got going on. The easiest way to add a molding that will actually go around the entire house is I'm going to select just near the corner of the room down here. And when I do that, if I scroll around, you can see that it has actually selected what is called an exterior room in Chief Architect. This is a perimeter that follows the outside or the inside of a room, and one of the tools that I have is Make Room Molding Polyline, and that's going to create the exact shape of that exterior room. So I'm going to click that button down here in the lower left-hand corner of the screen, and I'm going to go ahead and set the height of that molding to be 48 inches. If you recall, when we built that pony wall, we had defined 48 inches for the height of that stone. So let's go ahead and set that to be 48 inches. And once it creates that, you can see the outline of it. And if I double click on it, I'm going to come on to the Moldings tab up here. Slide this over. And I'm going to add the molding profile, which will open up the library browser. And I'm going to go in and find the molding profile that I want to use for this. So I'm going to select a basic profile, say OK. And I'm going to change the width of that to maybe 1.5 inches. I'll leave it at 5 inches in height, and we'll uncheck that inside because this is an exterior room that I've selected. Say OK. And you can see in our 3D view, I'll go ahead and zoom around here a little bit, you can see that it automatically placed that molding at the right elevation all the way around it. Nice architectural detail to place. Now the next thing that we want to do is the same thing for the floor above. I want to create a belly band that will extend or cover the platform and provide a nice transition between the two different sidings. So in this case, I'm going to toggle up to floor 2. You can see I actually have some extra walls on. Let's turn those attic wall layers off. Just simply remove that layer. Turn those walls off so we don't see those. And I'm just going to come in here and select very close to the edge. Once I've got that highlighted, I'm going to do the exact same thing we did before, Make Room Molding Polyline. And in this case, I'm on the second floor. I'm going to leave that molding at height 0. That's relative to the floor. Select OK. And if I double click on that molding, it's going to give me my absolute height. And just like we did for the molding down below on floor 1, I'm going to open up the same molding profile that we want to use. And in this case, I'm going to make it a 12-inch molding. And I'm going to also go ahead and set that to be 1.5 inches in thickness and uncheck the molding inside. That just inverts the molding so that it's on the exterior versus the interior of the room. Say OK, and you can see that our molding has placed. Now you can see that I've placed that actually in the wrong position. So for whatever reason, I may have had a dimension that was off. So we'll go ahead and fix that, set it to 96 inches, and we've got that set. Final element we're going to add on this remodel is a deck. The client is interested in having a deck come out the back door and wrap around to the side of the house facing us. First thing that I will do is I'm going to close the 3D view, and if I zoom in to the area, let's go ahead and pull this dimension out of the way. I'm going to delete the stairs, press the delete key, and then I've got a landing pad where the existing stairs came down. I'm just going to borrow that. Obviously, in the real world, you demo that. I'm going to slide that over. Perhaps we'll rotate that since I'm going to want my stairs to come down. And we'll just leave it in that position. I'm going to begin with our deck railing tool. Chief Architect has specific deck tools to create decks. I'm going to come in here and create the rough approximation of this deck. We'll go out about 12 feet. And we'll come around the side of the house. Again, I'm not too worried about the dimensions at this point. And then we'll lock that into the house, snap it in place. And you'll notice once that takes place that the room already becomes a deck because I was using the deck railing. If I highlight this section of the deck and I double click on it, I have a deck tab in here. And with the deck tools, you can specify quite a few options here. You'll notice my planking overhang, width, gap, direction, border planks, if those border planks border the walls, a herringbone pattern, and quite a few other options. If you want to have a roof or a ceiling over your deck, some do, some don't, then you can check these options in here and generate those things. If we go back in and take a look at the 3D overview, we should see the basic deck defaults that we have set up. And one of the nice features, if I zoom in here and kind of pull up, you can see that it automatically placed the framing underneath the deck. Let's go ahead and turn on our glass house view. Might be a little easier to see. It automatically placed all the framing in there. That's because when I had my template set up, I've chosen whenever I build a deck to automatically do the framing. So in the case of this sloped lot, you can see that it automatically put the pier foundation supports in with post and beam construction that you want. Of course, Chief Architect has manual framing tools. If you want to create your own framing, you may have some larger loads or the way the beams and joists come in. You may want to have control over that. There are manual tools to do the framing as well. Well, let's explore a few options for this deck. The first thing that we want to do is add a set of stairs that go off to the side, and then I also want to maybe make a few changes on the materials. So the first thing, I'm going to split my screen here. To create those stairs, I'm going to use my doorway tool, and I'm going to place a doorway approximately where I want to create the break in the railing. That will automatically create that break. And depending on the width of the railing, let's go ahead and if you want that to be exactly 5 feet, you can open that up. You can either type in inches or feet in the dialogues. We'll set that to be 5 feet. And again, if you want to use your center tool, that will exactly center that opening in that room. Now, the next thing I'm going to use is a stair tool. And I'm just going to come in here and click approximately near the opening, and the stairs will automatically generate and connect to the deck. Another powerful feature that you'll find, it just saves you time. The program understands it's a 3D model with all the information about where the elevation of the train is and the deck, so it will connect those elements. Now that landing that we had moved around from our demo, let's go ahead and just slide that underneath the stairs slightly. And if you want to resize that, you can just pull on these handles and resize that and create really any size of pad that you may want. So now we have our stairs coming out. If you want to change the style of the railing, I can come over here in my plan view and I'll just select these deck railing walls, and I'll just select those with a shift click. And if you open up the railing structure, we'll come over to the tab, and you can see the style of rails. If you want to choose, let's go ahead and change the baluster width to be something like maybe the null width at 3.5, and you'll see the update. You can also change the style. I think in this case, in the decorator, I'm going to choose the basic railing style, and you get a preview of that. You can see what it looks like. Maybe I'll move that baluster back and make it a very large and substantial style of deck. We'll select OK, and then you can see the update of the deck. Now, one more thing, let's maximize the 3D view. I want to change the materials. You'll notice that my newels and baluster is a little bit different color. I'm going to use the material eyedropper tool. Click on the object that I want to pick up and apply it to the individual railing, or you can change it to the entire room, in this case for the entire deck. And so you can make those changes and move around and make it easy to make the changes. Let's do the same thing. If I want this treated lumber to have a little bit darker look, you can use the color from our main siding. And we'll just go ahead and toggle that on. Final thing is, let's go ahead and open up this deck room. And back on the border planks, let's go ahead and set a couple of border planks. And then I will also check this box saying no border planks against the wall. And then you get the preview update of that. When you want to create your construction drawings, you're going to want to take elevations. If I open up the construction drawings that I have completed for this house, one of the tools you'll find in Chief Architect that makes that very easy to do is automatic exterior elevation cameras. Fill my screen here. In the menu under 3D, you'll find Create Automatic Exterior Elevations. And when I click that tool, that's going to generate all of the exterior elevation cameras. And to activate one of those cameras, all you have to do is double click on the camera and it will automatically generate that elevation for you. And you can toggle the color on and off when you do your elevations. You can set the line weights, the hatching, the colors. So when you do your actual construction drawings, of course you can add callouts. So if you want to add additional dimensions and information about the project, you can do that. And again, we've talked about the roof options that we've done. We've simply just taken a snapshot of each one of those roofs we did and sent it out to our construction documents. Now, we call this our layout facility in Chief Architect. And when you open up a new layout, I'll minimize this, in the program, let's go ahead and open up a layout. We'll zoom out here. The layout facility keeps a record of our construction documents. And if we toggle back to the elevation view, let's go ahead and send that out to our layout page. Here is where you can put the scaling information. In this case, I've got my default set up to 1/4 inch. If you want to define additional information about scaling, you can do that. And when you send it to the layout page, go ahead and toggle over the layout page now. Zoom in. You can see that that is actually an active link. So if I were to double click on this, it will go back to this. And let's say I want to move or delete that window. Well, the great thing is when I close that view, it will automatically update the elevation view for us. So when we return back to the layout page, it's always in sync with the current plan that you've got. So if you resize a window, you add a window, you change the bump out on that deck, it's going to always be linked to your plan. Not all CAD software does that. I just wanted to point out that Chief Architect creates a dynamic link between your model, your elevations, your floor plan. Any view is always linked to the entire model. I'm going to undo that, and let's go back and let's close this layout page here. If I activate this front camera, I've actually gone ahead and added additional details that you can see here when the elevation comes up, where you've got callouts for the different materials you want to use, dimensions if you want to place those, the pitch of the roof. So you can add any of these details with the CAD tools in Chief Architect. And again, if you want to add that into your construction drawings, it creates a very professional set. If you want to get a closer look at this set of sample plans, you can actually download the entire plan from our website and also download the PDF of this plan set that I've got displayed here. It's got the foundation plan, the roof plan, the as-built. I didn't really talk much about framing in this view, but you can see our framing has information about that as well. Let's bring that over a little bit larger view. So you can do the entire framing with Chief Architect. I mentioned you can also use the manual framing tools. So if you wanted to come in here, add a larger header over any of these objects, the program does defaults that are typical in the building industry, but if you want to manually override that, if you've got an engineer involved and you need an engineered wall, then you can modify any of those objects as well. Notice in my construction drawing, I actually have a window schedule down in this page on our drawings, as well as a wall legend. The window schedule, you can pull out schedules for doors, windows, fixtures, appliances, and so that's a subset of our materials list. Let's just toggle back to our plan and take a look at the materials list. The materials list is built into Chief Architect. You can do this by floor, by area, or by room, as well as a polyline. So if you've got a remodeling project, you may find that by area or by floor is the most helpful area to isolate your materials. And then when you run your materials list, this gives you a breakdown. It looks a lot like Excel. It gives you a breakdown. The first area is a general area. And if I scroll down, I've got heated ceiling area, heated wall area, and that's by orientation, north, east, west, south. So if you're going to do energy calculations such as the Department of Energy's res check, it's very easy to pull that information right in. As you scroll down the materials list, we have our foundation category. You can come in for a particular foundation. I did it for all floors, but you can type in a cost. Come over here and enter in a value over here for the price of the concrete. Go ahead and extend that cell out just a little bit so we can see that. And it will automatically calculate it. Chief Architect includes the materials list. We also have a master's list. If you're using a commodity that doesn't change price very much, you could save that into the master list, and then the program, every time you run a materials list, will have that. So as I scroll down, you can see it's by area. There's our framing area, our siding area. This is as accurate as your model is, so if you haven't built things, then it won't show up in the materials list. I don't have much in the neighborhood of cabinets, so you won't see a lot in there. I do have some, but each one of these categories you can see the details and then type in a price. You can export this materials list out to Excel or other programs, so if you're using an external costing program, it makes it pretty easy to bring that in. A final comment about the materials list is, in some cases, you may want to have a cut and buy list. Chief Architect includes the ability to create a cut and buy list. In the defaults is an area called Structural Member Reporting. And if you take a look at this, there's actually the option to change the way your materials list is calculated. If you're doing a deck, you may want to do a cut or buy list. You can toggle this on. And we come with a pre-populated list of materials. If you scroll down this list down here in my area, you'll see the number of lumber sizes. And if you have a lumber yard that has a promotion on maybe a 20-footer over a 16-footer, you can put priority over that and create a very nice cut and buy list. Pretty handy for deck work. I haven't touched much on framing. Let's explore what the program has done automatically for us. And one of the things that I've actually done is I've turned off the framing layer for the walls that are not new. So in some cases you'll see that the as-built walls were turned off. That makes it easy if you set up a layer set, which you can do, to isolate and only do a materials list and a 3D view for the area that you're going to be adding onto the remodeling project. I've turned off the floor surfaces, so that makes the basement and the garage look a little strange, but you can see inside of our framing, here's our deck framing, and here's all the framing elements that we need for the house. And all of this framing is done automatically. If you want to modify any of these framing members, you can double click on them and open them up. You can change the style of the lumber and any of the dimensional thicknesses and make modifications to the automatic framing. I also realized when we were taking a look at this, I had skipped the step of putting the stairs in, but you can also do a cross section in here. If I activate this camera, you can do a cross section inside the house and you can do your headroom calculations. Makes it very easy if you want to optimize your space and your platforms. You can visually see exactly where you have this information. And since Chief Architect maintains a 3D model, any of the changes we make, if we want to pull that platform back, if you needed a little bit more headroom than that, it's very dynamic and you can make those changes very easily. If you want to get a closer look at the plan set that we have on this sample plan set, if I scroll back up, this is available in the samples area of the Chief Architect website. You'll also find a free trial version if you want to use the program. You can download this sample plan or others and try Chief Architect out yourself. We offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're interested in purchasing the software, please let us know if there's any questions. Also realize there's other videos available on our website, on our YouTube channel. You can watch those. We have webinars on a weekly basis that you can attend. We have a live instructor there. In most cases, you can ask the questions of the instructor. And hope you found this remodeling project helpful. And please let us know if we can answer any questions at all. Thanks.